Order! Order! You are an incorrigible delinquent at times. Behave yourself, man!
According to a US official, one British drone and 2 American ones worked together intimately in the operation that targeted Mohammed Emwazi, who appeared in an ISIS execution videos. David Cameron called the attack on the torturer, known as Jihadi John, in a car in the northern Syrian town of Raqqa, as a strike at the heart of the extremist group. Emwazi apparently killed 7 hostages, including British aid workers David Haines and Alan Henning. But perhaps the more significant story this week in terms of the war on Islamic State has been the sustained gains being made against their territory, not least today's reclaiming of Sinjar by US-backed Kurdish forces. So which is the better guide to how this war might be won? Here is Mark Urban again.
The intelligence-gathering operation to find and target Mohammed Emwazi took months and considerable resources. Last night, 3 different drones, 1 British and 2 American, were tracking him before an American one launched a missile into a car.
He was ISIL's lead executioner, and let us never forget that he killed many, many Muslims too. And he was intent on murdering many more people. So this was an act of self-defense.
Emwazi had been the ringmaster for the televised murder of James Foley, Stephen Sotloff, David Haines, Alan Henning and Peter Kassig. Some of the freed hostages also reported that their captor had tortured them too. But tonight, family members didn't give in to triumphalism.
It's just sad. And I think we have to be careful as an American media not to glorify this deranged young man. I mean, he's a sad individual, filled with hate for us. I mean, no, that's very sad to me.
The car believed to be carrying Emwazi was hit right in the middle of Raqqa, capital of the self-proclaimed caliphate, and just yards from the clock tower where IS had staged many of its own public executions. There's something bigger going on here, though. Islamic State is on the defensive in several different places at the moment.
I think clearly ISIS at the moment is in a situation where it's facing battles on lots of different fronts. But if we look at what's happened in Sinjar, my understanding there is that hasn't completely severed the connection between Mosul and Raqqa. There are still other routes in. And if we look at the Russians hitting them in some places, it's not a sort of overwhelming push that we're seeing. So I think what we're seeing is a sort of situation where they're dealing with pressure on multiple fronts, but I don't know that we can definitively say that it's strategic pressure yet.
On Sinjar, Kurdish troops, supported by British Special Forces and more than 250 airstrikes in the past month, have driven back IS, cutting the group's key route between Raqqa and Mosul.
Unfortunately, the process for the liberation of Mosul was delayed. Therefore, we were obliged, in order to make sure that step by step we will liberate the areas which are important. Of course, the victory that was achieved in Sinjar is very important. It is significant. This is our response, and it's our revenge on the ISIS and the crimes that they committed last year. The atrocities that were committed by the ISIS terrorists and the crimes that were committed mount to genocide. Therefore, we are very pleased today Sinjar was liberated.
Across the border, a coordinated push by the Syrian Democratic Forces, Kurdish-led but with American special operators, have cleared 500 square kilometres of Islamic State fighters in the past few weeks. And then over further west, the Syrian army, with Iranian ground support and Russian backing from the air, has broken the IS siege of Quiris air base near Aleppo. It all adds up to significant pressure. Nobody thinks this week's blows mark the end of IS. It's shown itself a fierce and resilient adversary. But it's thought to have lost its chief propagandist and is under pressure on multiple fronts now, from the air and on the ground, a situation it hasn't faced before.
I've been getting